All right, thanks everyone for coming tonight. We'll go ahead and get started just a minute or two after. I'm Jason Stevenson. I'm one of the co-chairs of the East Liberty Park Community Organization, one of the official community councils for this area and for the area that the in-between would be going into. This is the area between 800 South and 1700 South, between 13th East and 700 East. We've been around about 30 years. We host a meeting on the fourth Thursday of every month right here. It happens to be 7 o'clock tonight after this town hall. We'll be hosting our regular meeting. And what we are is we're a forum for local discussion, for people to come together, find out about what's going on in their neighborhood, discuss it, offer viewpoints. Sometimes they're controversial issues. Sometimes it's as silly as, what's going on with the sewer system. So, but it's all about community stuff. George doesn't think that's silly. I agree. It can be very important when it backs up. But what we wanted to do was have an open forum on the in-between. And I wrote up a couple ground rules that I hope could guide our town hall tonight. And I can go over them with you, and if you think that's okay, we'll put them up on the wall and we can refer to them throughout the evening. First is talk, listen, and respect. I think that's important. We're all neighbors here. This is an issue that definitely people have passion about, but let's talk, let's listen, let's respect each other. Speak for yourself. Definitely speak up for yourself. Share your opinion, but maybe don't pretend that your opinion represents everybody. Speak from your own personal situation. That's always the best way to do it. Step up and step back. If you find yourself talking a lot, maybe take a step back and let someone else share. And if you find yourself not saying anything, consider coming up and saying something. Consider adding your viewpoint or your perspective. Make sure that your voice is heard. And last, no put-downs. We are among neighbors here, and so we want to keep this about policy and not make it personal. So those sound like good ground rules that we can all agree to? So I'll put them up on the wall here. I even put the tape up already. I was a Boy Scout. And what we also would like to do today is maximize the amount of Q&A that we can have. And so if you guys agree, I could moderate this event, calling on folks. If you raise your hand, you have a question, asking your question, we'll get the answer, maybe a follow-up question, clarifying things. Make sure we get to the heart of the matter. And then making sure that everyone who wants to talk gets a chance to talk. We do have a hard stop time at 7 o'clock, so we wanted to go ahead and get started as soon as we can. The one thing I would say, though, is when you stand up, maybe let folks know the street you live on and your address if you're comfortable doing that, or just say that you're a resident of the neighborhood. But just let folks know that you're from here. That would always be a good way to remind us that we're among neighbors. So we'll begin with a short, very short, I believe, introduction from Aaron and from Kim here, and then we'll get directly to the Q&A session. Okay? So the answer is to become more involved, and I think actually the East Liberty Park Community Organization or other organizations are a good place to start. The Neighborhood Advisory Council for this, just like they're having for the homeless resource centers, is another good place to start. I want to get as many questions as we can. Sir, right here, you guys kind of asked a question, so I want to go to another couple.
No.
Okay,
no.
Sir.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we are at the stroke of 7. I want to give this gentleman a question.
So I work.
Can you state your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Jess. I live on Princeton. I worked as a director in a hospice. For 8 years. I've since moved on and I'm doing family practice with underprivileged populations. I think the way that this has flown under the radar and landed is disgusting. Yeah. I think we are not represented.
Aaron, how dare you?
I do have a question.
Please. Sir.
The fact that we are not represented is disgusting, and I would like to find out, how do we become represented in our neighborhood here? So how do we
throw you out?
Well,
how do we
please
have a voice in this situation? You're acting like it's a done deal.
So the question is, how do we as community have a voice in our neighborhood on issues like this?
Aaron to answer this question.
Aaron, you can ask it.
Yes, did you speak? What did you find out?
Well, the question was to Aaron. Let's hear it.
I'm happy to address your question. And as we've heard
You
tonight...
might want to stand up.
Sure.
People are trying to hear.
Can you hear me? Charlie, can you hear me in the back? As city council members, if I was a congresswoman, if I were the mayor, if I were a senator, there is nothing that any elected official can do to influence a private property purchase. And in fact, if a government tries to prevent certain populations from entering an area where they are zoned to be, then we are sued.
But tell
by
me
doing
you're
so.
not answering my question.
How can you be represented
Thank you.
in 3 years about, you can run for my seat?
So you can represent me. That's what you're telling me.
You can represent
How do
me.
you represent me? You
in
can't
3
tell me
years.
that?
So I've never seen you at community council.
That
because
doesn't
you're like,
matter.
how many of these
That
meetings-
doesn't
No,
answer
I'm
my
trying
How
to
many of
answer
these
your
meetings
question.
have you come to? And
You're
you,
right,
how many of
you're
these
right.
meetings?
Why
It doesn't
is
matter.
that
This
irrelevant?
This is where we
All
learn
right,
what's going
guys,
on.
we're wrapping up, and so I want to hear Aaron's response to
I-
the
I'd
legitimate
like to-
question.
for another 30
Please.
minutes.
I'd like to finish answering.
Extend it for another 30 minutes, please.
Well, we
George,
started
we got
late.
people coming to present.
15-minute thing.
We've got the fire department here. We want to run into our normal meeting. I want to hear Aaron's response. If you're welcome to stay for
Why
ELPCO.
don't you let
Okay.
us take the first 15 minutes and then let everybody else go?
Can I finish
As long
answering
as the
the
fire
question?
department, are you guys still here? I think they had to go to a call. We're always respectful
Got
for them.
PD here and no fire. I want to
Okay.
finish answering the question. This community council is one of the most active, well-organized voices in all the 5 community councils in District 5. There have been many issues that have the neighborhood upset, from transportation options to housing developments that are tearing down existing single-family homes, to crime rates in our district. And this community council is an amazing way for you to have your representation here.
But I'm
Because the
asking
mayor's
how.
office.
You're talking about
I
this,
don't-
but you're not answering.
Well,
the
I think she
question.
is, sir, because she's talking about how to be involved in
But I
this
asked
issue
you
and future
how.
How to
issues.
be represented.
Yeah.
In this,
Let's stay on to the topic about representation. The community advisory board, sir, with your background, ELPCO as a forum deals with these issues all the time. We go and we speak for residents. Residents speak on behalf of ELPCO at city council meetings, planning meetings, all the time. This is the most basic form of local government. And whether you've been here forever, Ursula, thank you, or this is your first time, this is how we make change in our neighborhoods. And oftentimes it's when the Walmart drops in your neighborhood that all of a sudden people are like, whoa, I got to get involved. And this is one of those moments, okay? But there's going to be more moments that are going to be happening. And to stay involved and stay active is the way that you can participate. Now, private property transactions, you can't affect. That's, where we live in the United States, we can't do that. Now, Aaron has one more comment. And I think we've addressed your question. But
Thank you.
so I want to go over some numbers. How many people know how many people are going to be the max capacity according to the reasonable accommodation? Anybody remember that number? 85. 85. And then the third, in terms of the patient population. How many people walked into the room not knowing that? A lot of people,
I got
okay?
5 numbers
So we've
right here on
learned
this
something
slide.
today. I agree transparency is a process, and I think we will hold them accountable, as Aaron said, as we move forward.
But we can't
I want to move
trust
to some
her.
more questions. George, your question. I'd like to, we have some people waiting to present at a regular ELPCO meeting that we had scheduled to start at 7. I'd like to do 2 more questions, and then I'd like you to continue your discussion. You're welcome to outside, but I'd like to get some people who haven't asked questions and maybe some new questions that haven't come up. So I'm going to go one here, the gentleman right there with the sunglasses on his head, and then ma'am, if you don't mind, right here. These will be the last 2, and then we'll go outside.